Hi, good morning, everyone. Sorry for the technical glitch. So, welcome to a first of our 5 series of Technology.fmm, co-organized by CTI Resources and AVEVA. Okay, so just before I start with this session, I would just like to welcome everyone. I think there's quite a lot of people joining as well. I think there's about 50 or 60 of us. So I would just like to start with an introduction of what this webinar will talk about, and also what are the next few webinars that we have. Okay, so as you can see, we are on the first series of webinar today. So the title today of our webinar is Embracing the Brave New Normal in the Smart Manufacturing Sector. As you can see here, this is the first of 5 series of our webinar. Further details will be sent to you shortly. So there will be the next one will be September 22nd. As you can see, I think at the end of this session, I will again recap of what we have done today and also what is the next session about. Okay. So let's go straight to our first series. So as you can see, or as you know, I think now we are in an extraordinary period, right? So everyone is talking about COVID-19, people are working from home, we are all embracing the new normal, right? I think, but I can see that lots of companies are already, especially in Malaysia, coming back to work already. And also, our government has introduced various initiatives, right, to everyone through these trying times. So yeah, I think as you know, if you've been following the news or you've been talking to our government bodies, our government has rolled out various initiatives such as readiness assessment, intervention programs. They even give subsidies for high-speed broadband connectivity as well, and also for potential investments, right? So the government are trying to enhance competence center at public higher learning institution as well, and also of course talking about Industry 4 is not only about solutions and not only about software, it's also about upscaling people, right? So that people have the necessary competence and technology to reduce the skill gaps amongst industry players, especially in the SME sector. So this is why we're having this talk today, so that everyone is prepared, or everyone know the latest technology and how to embrace the new normal. So I would like to start the first session today, our first speaker. Okay, so as you can see here, there's 3 speakers today. We have Mr. Jacob, Mr. Chai, and Mr. Ajit. I will start with Mr. Jacob. Mr. Jacob Lee is the chairman of the FMM Industry 4.0 committee, and he is also the FMM is Malaysia's premier organization responsible for leading Malaysian manufacturers in spearheading the nation's growth organization. Mr. Jacob is also the managing director of Maple Steel Sdn Bhd and the founder of Ashley Mechanical Sdn Bhd. They are recognized as one of the Malaysia's leading manufacturers of flexible air duct, ceiling diffusers, supply air grills, and among many others. Today, Mr. Jacob will share us his thoughts on today's manufacturing needs and how can manufacturers embrace the challenges, how to be resilient, and how to be agile enough to weather the storm and grow during the new normal. Let us pass the floor to Mr. Jacob.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to our Mr. Moderator, Mr. Yong Jun Jet. First of all, I want to thank CTI Resources and AVEVA for organizing this webinar, and thank you for inviting me to share my thoughts, facing the challenges in the new normal amid in this pandemic. Well, I think this morning I will speak from 2 perspectives. Okay, one at the capacity of a business owner, how myself, goes through these challenges. I would say that I've never experienced in my lifetime. In the past, I went through a few recessions in my career path. Recessions is different from this pandemic. Recession, there was no lockdown. And this round, there was a so-called total lockdown for close to about 1.5 months in Malaysia. I think for Malaysia, we are quite fortunate. I think we acted quite promptly. Our government has done a great job to contain the spread of the pandemic, and then we open back partially, gradually, so that business is not greatly affected. Okay. The other perspective that I would share would be from the perspective of FMM, Federation of Malaysian Manufacturers. We are one of the NGOs or trade organizations that the government always engage in with us to come up with policies and ways to combat these challenges. Now, as I say, this impact brought by this COVID-19 has been one of the greatest one in my life, and we have never faced challenges never before. Okay, and we find that consumers are changing their habits, supply chains are being disrupted. So as a business owner, I have my factories in Taiwan and in China. Okay, well, China is also a country where they have been able to overcome the COVID-19 quite okay. However, our factory can operate in Shanghai. However, our customers are unable to take the goods that we send. So a lot of orders have been halted in the factory. So if the world is not open, even though we are open, our products are also unable to sell. I've even friends who are fishermen or even who are plantation owners. Okay, the small scale one. Okay, but they were not ready for this pandemic. So when the harvest is ready and when the market is closed, so their fruits are stuck in the mountain in Cameron Highland, whereby they cannot deliver their goods to the customer. So this morning the topic is on building resilience over this pandemic, over this very challenging situation. Now, I do a search on the meaning resilience. The dictionary tell me that resilience is reducing adverse business impacts by responding and recovering with the best use of resources, scenario planning, people, and overall effort. Well, in simple terms, this one is very academic, the explanation. In simple terms, I would say resilient means is even though you are hit, but you will survive. Okay, building resilience means is that you will at least survive through this impact, and or a simpler term is you won't die lah. So your business will continue to survive, and when all once again, at least you are ready for the opportunities. So I think this is very important. And for me, as a manufacturer or as an own business owner, the immediate thing I wish to tackle is there are four aspects I need to do. For example, in March, when my business is down by 50%. In April, when there was a total shutdown, my business reduced to only 10%. That means I have a business drop of 90%. So immediately I am faced with, first of all, because of this very big impact, okay, where you actually cannot move during the lockdown. So I think we are facing with a very serious threat that the business could go bust. Okay, we may even go bankrupt, because of the liquidity issue. So immediately, I need to do a business recalibration. Okay, you see, in March, my business dropped 70%. In April, my business dropped 90%. Okay, In May, we were allowed to operate in a small scale. My business dropped 80%. And with our factories in Malaysia, in Taiwan, and in Shanghai, so immediately I need to do a business recalibration. And how do I counter this situation when I need to continue to pay for my workers? Well, laying off the workers may not necessarily be the best solution, because when you do a quick layoff, when the business come back, when the business reopens, you may not be able to meet up to your business obligations, or you may even miss the opportunities that they are on the way. So I need to do a business to look into the 4 factors. Number 1 is the liquidity. How much cash reserve, and how long can I persevere in this situation. Number 2 is the supply and demand. I need to get all the information from my sales department. What are the orders that I have on hand? But many of the orders are put into hot also. The other one is the external factors and also the people. We have to get people to work remotely. Working from home become a new norm. But to do a quick responses to situation, to crisis like this, I think the dashboard management, the effective dashboard management is very important. I must be able to have all the information addressed. Not historical. Historical data important for us to do trending. I must have also on time current information available, so that I can do this business recalibration. And I need to do a lot of scenario planning. What if this? What if that? What if we go further lockdown, and what's the next step of actions? So productivity, efficiency, cost effectiveness continue to be a big concern. How do we even run effectively when there is so much of new requirements are needed? For example, social distancing, okay, and low wastages. Because when you run 24 hours or you run 2 shifts compared to you can only run, there are a lot of wastages. There are a lot of inefficiency in that manner. Okay, and optimum use of labor, so that we will produce the right products, and using the right materials, getting the right materials in, because we have to manage the cash flow. Cash flow is the most headache. It gives the most difficult challenges that we have. Inventory management is also another thing. Okay, the raw material supply chain management. Some of the essential products are able to produce. However, our suppliers are not permitted to operate. So I need to start with production line, but I have problems with raw materials. Okay, I mentioned about the cash flow. So all these things, you need a smart or very close connectivity, for the whole factory, and this is very difficult. And I must say, as a medium enterprise owner, our factory are not totally connected. Okay, fortunately enough, we are doing now our second phase of the ERP. Okay, but we have started implementing ERP about 20 years ago. Okay, so we are now actually embarked into our new ERP. In fact, it's the third round. We're able to at least get very many information quite well organized. However, it is still not totally smart. There are still a lot of information to do. So I think to move forward, digital transformation is very important. You must be able to get all this data available on-time, present data, historical data, so that to enable you to make smart decision and to know and to predict or to forecast what lies ahead. I think building resilience, I think the first thing we need to do before we talk even about upgrading our machine capabilities into a smart machine, I think first thing we need to do, for me, okay, the important is the digital transformation. You must be able to have smart data for you to make good decision. Okay, so this part is on the my own personal journey during this time. I'm very thankful to our government. They make a good control of the situation so that the business is very normal in Malaysia. The next thing I want to talk about is the FMM, Federation of Malaysian Manufacturers. We are working very closely with the government, with MITI, especially during the lockdown. We have sent 6 secretariat to work in MITI office, day and night, to help the government to ensure the essential products are still in supply. There's no interruption in the essential products needed. For example, the food items, so that keep people life going. Okay. FMM Institute, our training arm, we are doing a lot of skill training, okay, to upskill and to reskill. And ladies and gentlemen, as a business owner, let me tell you this: transformation into Industry 4.0, adoptions of digital transformation. Sometimes it is not the management problem. Okay, people on the ground are resisting. So we actually need to do a lot of mindset changes, educations, awareness, so FMM is doing a lot of training, upskilling and reskilling our workforce. Okay. In fact, MITI has conducted this Industry 4.0 readiness assessment program. I think that's a very good program. Many of the SMEs are given intervention, technology intervention grant, 70-30, 60-40, the kind of ratios, up to for SME up to maximum of 500,000. And I think that is a very good amount to kickstart the Industry 4.0 transformation, implementing like IoT, upgrading a machine, digital transformation. Okay, FMM Selangor and Kuala Lumpur branch, we are also working. We're setting up a e-commerce platform. Okay, to help our members to market their products online. Okay, I must say in Malaysia, I think there are many international attendees here. You may not know, Malaysia, 95% of our corporations are SME. Many of them are still do not have a website or even an online shop. So getting their products, showcase them on an e-commerce platform, I think is very essential. Okay, so so these are some of the works that FMM is doing to help our members to accelerate the adoptions of Industry 4.0 and also the digital transformation. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jacob. Thank you for the deep insight on, I mean, how do SMEs like yourself are adapting to the new normal, and also what are the initiatives we are doing. So just to a quick recap, right, before we go to the next speaker. So I think just a few important ones, right, to embrace smart connectivity and digital transformation. As an SME owner, we will need to, have all these systems in place so that we can do the scenario planning. And of course, just this is to help you to plan your own productivity, efficiency, and cost effectiveness. Okay, and also, of course, one key important thing that I think all of you will agree and all of you will know that we need to as well. We are grateful to the government, right, for giving us subsidies as well as wage subsidies and also grants. I think grant is quite important because even the government has shown that the last few years when we talk about Industry 4, although the benefits is a lot, right, but there's a lot of cost involved. So like what Mr. Jacob has mentioned, FMM and also MITI has already worked together, and there's this intervention grant of 70 and 30%. So right now, government is helping SMEs to upskill, right? So and also to subsidize. So to talk more about how to get the grant, of course, please refer to CTI. I mean, I have already help customers to get some grants. So I think after this session, if you are interested, please contact us. I think there'll be our team to get feedback. So if you have any questions, so please so we'll get back to you. I think that's very good for SMEs. Okay, so yeah, thanks, Mr. Jacob. Introduce the second speaker. Our second speaker today is Mr. Ajit Kulkarni. He's the head of sales of APAC of AVEVA Group, a leading digital solutions provider for industrial automations and industrial solutions. Mr. Ajit is currently the head of technical sales, Asia Pacific of AVEVA. He has been working with customers in asset-intensive industries like oil and gas, chemicals, power and mining across Asia Pacific for more than 25 years. Together with his team, he partners with customers on their digital transformation journey and offers technology-based enabled transformation that helps customers run their business better. Today, Mr. Ajit will be sharing with us on how digital technology will be a powerful approach for recovery and how it plays a major role in shaping the new normal for all of us. So let's welcome Mr. Ajit.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes. Please go ahead. Thank you.
Fantastic. And can you see my screen?
Yes.
Lovely. So do you all know what this is?
Sanitizer.
Sanitizer. So I'd like to bring your attention to the point, to a very simple fact in our life. Okay. The world has changed overnight. Can you all hear me and see me?
Yes.
Can you confirm? You can hear and see? Hello?
Yes. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Fantastic. So thank you very much. So something as simple as this, a sanitizer wasn't probably very popular in December of last year, but suddenly it has become very popular right now. Okay, and our world as we know it in our professional life and in our personal life has changed a lot. Okay, and what has changed in our lives? Our experience in terms of how we go about meeting with people, in terms of how we go about shopping, because now you cannot go into a shop without showing your ID, in terms of how our work-life balance has changed in terms of flexibility and collaboration, and in terms of how we value intelligence more than ever before, because we don't even know what's going on in our workplace. Why? Because we are not allowed to enter our workplace. Right? So this is the world we are living in today. And in this world that we're living in today, what we need to do, and this is where I introduce the company I work for, AVEVA. This is where we are looking at helping our customers replan CapEx, replan our capital expenditure, and drive higher levels of engineering efficiency. This is where we provide remote digital teams, rich information and decision support. And this is essentially where we help our customers to keep their business going. Because irrespective of where we are in today's world, the show must go on, right? The show must go on, and we have to be able to keep our customers happy. Now, we do it through a variety of means. It is through change in workflow, it is through change in processes, and it is through change in technology. And the change in technology includes things like how we connect our organization with our customer organization, how we empower our workers, how we construct a digital model of our facilities so that we know what's exactly going on in our facilities, how we leverage the power of big data, and we leverage the power of cloud in order to give our workers the access into keeping our operations uninterrupted. So we have been working with industrial customers for a long time now. The AVEVA solutions have been deployed in more than 100,000 sites, and we have a huge amount of footprint and presence in the kind of industrial environment that we play in. And as you can see, we monitor more than 20 billion plus industrial parameters, and that includes things like temperature, corrosion, vibration, etc. We run more than 10 trillion industrial transactions per day, and we store and manage a huge amount of data from our customers across the world. Okay, so let's look at some of the industrial challenges that we are going through today. The pandemic has changed our business. The biggest change in our business is material shortages. The biggest change in our business is in managing our demand, in managing our workers, the people that work in our facilities, in managing cash flow and managing planning. So what we can see right now is there is a need to focus on how we can manage material shortages through alternative sources of supply, through different vendors that can supply the material that we need in order to assure quality and production quality to our customers. And there is a certain bearing on how we can ensure our facilities are working to the best benefit of our customers. Now, in some countries, the facilities are based on the highest value add. In some countries, it is based on the safety requirements. In some countries, it is based on asset utilization. So there are various parameters that many manufacturers use in order to drive what is important to them. And if you can have a look at how this pandemic is influencing different countries across Asia. And some countries it is more about personal hygiene. Some countries it's about shop floor layout. Some countries it's about personal protective equipment, and so on and so forth. The good news is that we have a means of addressing all these constraints that manufacturers have today. And it's a combination of addressing people concerns, process concerns, and technology concerns. People concerns is about how we can work safely in order to meet our customer requirements. Process concerns is about how we can change the process in order to deliver what our customer needs. And technology concerns is how we can bring in the technology to help us augment the process and the people part of our business. If we start with the basics, what we need is data from our manufacturing plants. And that is about the industrial IoT and the edge platforms. The most important part in situations like this is to evaluate what kind of data is coming out of our factories in order to process that data. And processing that data can move into monitoring and control in trying to determine how best we can use this data and how best we can use this data in order to drive our manufacturing operations. We can go into more sophisticated control of the data to figure out what our operations performance is, and we can drive towards what are we exactly measuring. So if we don't have something to measure, we don't really know how well we are performing. And some of the examples we have are OEE, which is otherwise called overall equipment effectiveness, on time in full delivery to our customers, and response times. The good news is that we've got the technology in order to measure all these three things. And the unique experience that we're going to bring to customers is, number one, to digitalize the process that they have, to make it consistent, well understood, and a standard across all their manufacturing facilities. The second is to standardize it in terms of managing best practices, in terms of managing the key performance indicators, in terms of measuring what exactly are we delivering to our customers. Based on this foundation, we look at how we're going to improve the continuous improvement of our processes based on rich data collection, which drives change management in our facilities. So in conclusion, I'd like to say that the unique approach we are proposing is from a limited silo access to data to specific and miniature access to data to a holistic real-time visibility, consistent and optimized process parameters to complete objective-driven processes, traceability, acceleration of the skills of the individuals that work in our facilities. So let me give you a couple of examples of how this works across our facility, across our customers. We have many examples of how our customers are taking advantage of our technology in order to drive food safety and quality, in order to drive sustainability and optimization of energy usage, in order to drive operational and asset efficiency, and in order to drive access for the workers and improve their productivity. And let me give you a couple of examples here. And the couple of examples would be from, one of them is from Campbell Foods, which is a global manufacturer of high-value baked goods. Their focus was to drive asset performance, and thus they looked at early detection of breakdowns before the downtime actually occurred in order to prevent production losses and improve visibility. The other example I would like to leave you with is an example like Maple Foods, which improved on-time operational excellence in reducing waste in the factories, improving the production across the production lines over a short period of 6 months, and improving visibility. The Schneider Electric factory in Batam is an excellent example of how these factors have come together in terms of reducing downtime, in terms of improving quality, in terms of improving throughput, and in terms of increasing customer satisfaction. So that is a summary of what I had to present. Together with our focus on people, processes, and technology, we can achieve so much more in order to address the challenges of today. Back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Ajit. Thank you very much for the great insight. We talk about solutions, right? We talk about digital transformation. So what are those solutions out there? Okay, so that's why we have this webinar, and also to talk about what are the solutions out there and what are the big solution or big new breakthrough for Industry 4.0. We will have our next speaker, Mr. Chai Kim Chen. He's the Director of CTI Resources and also co-organizer of this webinar. Just to introduce Mr. Chai, Mr. Chai has 26 years of experience in industrial and process automation, big data, solutions development, and consulting customers on all their digital transformation journey. His digital solutions has been implemented in various manufacturing industries, such as water and wastewater, utilities, and also glove industries. With his vast knowledge, he has collaborated successfully with multiple entities to conceptualize and implement digitalized and innovative factories for a complete end-to-end digital roadmap. And Mr. Chai is also a member of the FMM Industry 4.0 committee, as well as myself. Okay, so in our final session for today, Mr. Chai will share his thoughts on Industry 4.0, reimagining manufacturing operations in a new normal. Let us pass the floor to Mr. Chai.
It's good to have everyone here, especially at this new normal that having the first webinar. Thank you for attending our webinar today. It's a great pleasure that we heard from Jacob, which is also my colleague in the FMM Industrial 4.0 committee, whereby he's the chairman and the vice chairman. And like what Jacob has mentioned, that at the FMM role, we have embarking into those kind of helping manufacturers in the new normals and all the while in the digital transformations. My role over here today is to imagine the manufacturing operation is new normal. Let us briefly recap that actually what is CTR Resources. We have started in since 1997, 23 years old, experience, Shalam, and we are members of the FMM and also various like NWA and Magma as well. We have fortunate enough today, we have our principal AVEVA over here to be panelists of this conference. Hence, we will be able to listen from what the AVEVA solutions that have been given. Of course, CTR Resources also been the distributor for various activities and also products. I name only two over here, which is very highly related to what current situation on the normal. That's where the cybersecurity is an address, and also the reliability of the equipment that we're running on the floor have from the edge to enterprise connectivity. So these are the solutions that you can see from our website. We are embarking now towards the Industrial 4 and the digital transformations journey together with our customer. As a solutions provider and a distributor, we work hand in hand with our customers, with principals, to deliver the value of all those transformations that what the SME or maybe the manufacturer, the end user is looking after. So there are various of the areas that we have involved. So you can browse our website to have clear information, or else you can contact us for those industrial requirement and also the transformation solutions that you need. Now, that's a recap from what Mr. Jacob Lee has mentioned as a manufacturer itself. In fact, I have browsed through, and this McKinsey has the survey for manufacturing in Asia. That's what the three main topics are actually been shared by, in fact, facing by everyone. It just only a recap. The survey that actually measures material shortage, where is the supply issue. Steep drop in demand is actually because of the demand issues, and worker unavailability, where Jacob has already mentioned that he's not able to go back to the work, and also the social distancing. But here, as a solutions provider, we also facing the similar too, because our customer is all the manufacturers, is end users, and hence when they stop productions, they stop activity, we also stop the demand in terms of our sales. And when there are certain essentials company manufacturers are allowed to work, for example, during the pandemic, our government is allowing some of the customer to operate. But however, we also required facing a shortage of labor because some of our engineers are not able to travel far. And also when we want to get some equipment to replace and make sure that our manufacturer or customers are able to continue the productions, it also having a problem because the whole lockdown from the world, and we are not able to get the spare part in order for us to do services. Same pandemic and the dynamic things that are happening not only to manufacturer. In fact, we are part of the ecosystem, and we are also facing the same kind of pandemic too. So therefore, worker unavailability right now is not necessarily looking into only the workers in the factory, but it's a whole ecosystem that what we have to address. So as a solutions provider, how can we help our customer, whereby at this pandemic, how can we help them remotely? How can we assist them remotely in the sense that they can get the data up and line? There's also another areas whereby we are looking at. So there's a lot of shift of mindset that we have to look into. So COVID-19 is driving business to revisit the digital transformation right now. The digital transformation journey before MCO, before the COVID-19, it has been addressed a very far journey, and also maybe some of the areas that wanted to address has been put on hold, or maybe the business that we're looking into the digital transformation is not then important at the moment. But because of the COVID-19 of a wake-up call, in fact become a must and have already, because it's as Jacob mentions, without the information, we are not able to do. So we are following, there are certain strategies right now that could be actually right now we need to revisit and rework into that. Like what all the two speakers has mentioned, remote collaboration tools, the remote operation and monitoring center whereby we can see the dashboard remotely. And like what the data is hybrid cloud, whereby when you have an edge and a cloud technologies that come in because to enable us to work safely when the connectivity is not there. And there's data analytic, cybersecurity information. And we also, when we visit our customer, like majority of the OT network, especially on the manufacturing, has been disconnected from the IT world, is because due to the connectivity and the network infrastructure is not ready. Not only that, on the infrastructure, even though we ourselves as a solutions provider, how fast actually can we allow our people to work remotely and support remotely? Because by giving them a tools like VPN connectivity and also some Excel spreadsheets does not help. We require much more information and much more tool and enable us to work remotely. So actually, we also require to look into the digital connected enterprise. That is actually means that how can we not only looking into the manufacturing process, in fact, it's a whole value change. Where are the connecting data that allowing us to show that we can see the big pictures and we can manage it from remotely. And I put down a new talent, digital. What does that mean? This dynamic broke down. Suddenly we realize that we need people to know IT very well, how to set up the VPN connectivity, how to set up the internet connectivity, a basic one, and how to address that whether my internet line is stable or not stable, how to address that actually to collect the data so that I can put up a dashboard for us to see. So the digital, the talents that right now we build suddenly become is another new form and urgently needed is IT world. But when they put too much of the dashboard onto it, were that particular information that you know how it related, so therefore a new talent has to be discovered. So a lot of our Industrial 4.0, when we revisit, we want to see that what are the foundation technologies that enable us to look into this transformation strategy again. Basically, we fall into the few four areas. They are very advanced engineering, whereby additive manufacturing and all those things, it will be a very far that for those who are established. But the basic fundamental we are looking at is connectivity, computational power, human-machine interactions, data analytic and intelligence. Because we need to have sensors to be connected, we need to connect our workforce, we need to have some kind of asset reliability based on condition, based how to maintain the asset to make sure that the product and the equipment is continually working. And we have to rethink about what type of specification now we want to apply into our factory right now. It's because as a solution provider right now is we require to look into a reliable asset and the sensors and able for our customers to operate for under the lockdown period or maybe in the new normal. So when you open up, cybersecurity become an issue. And when we have all this data already, the interaction is how can it make it real time, like what Jacob had mentioned, the data visualizations for all across the virtual spectrum. And we have a virtual and AR reliability. And also somehow or other, there are certain kind of forecasting and simulation data that we wanted to run. And there's some kind of digital twin simulations that we need to have. I give you an example actually from I'm starting to recall what my experience. Have you experienced driving in a heavy rain? I would like to ask the audience. I believe in Malaysia, everybody has happened. So when you put into ourselves that when you are driving in a heavy rain, I recall that when 10 years ago when I was traveling from Sri Manjung back to KL, And at that evening, it was very dark. I left Sri Manjung actually at about 6:30. And I have passed through the coastal way, whereby like Teluk Intan, Setiawan, and all those before I reached the Bido Highway. And when I left at 6:30 at evening, the sky is very dark, and suddenly storm happened. This is clear sky that we can see because maybe it happened. This picture shows in the afternoon, but you can imagine that what I have experienced before was it's totally darkness. I cannot even see the headlight that can shine. It can't even reach another 2 or 3 meters, very short distance. But what I'm doing during that time, I'm actually turned on my headlights. I try to keep into my lane. I have to stay focused. And actually, I wish I can have somebody in front, a car in front, and leading the way so that I can know whether the other person has any car, is really leading me towards the right direction or not. I have to stay there and then make sure that I'm driving safe. I believe everyone has been into this kind of situation before. So what else that we can do when you are entering such dynamic? So when you just imagine that under this COVID-19, when we have a total lockdown, we actually we suddenly have to rethink what we should do. We try to turn on our headlight, we try to keep our lane, and we try to listen and see what other people is doing so that we can follow. But what else that we can really do? And at the particular moment, at 10 years ago, I was lucky that because it's my behavior or maybe my experience is I always turn on my Google Map and also Waze. When I turn on my Google Map and I Waze, I can see that this Google Map is direct me, show me the road and show me the way. And what I have to do is I cannot see my journey. I have to literally follow and listen to Google Map and say, turn right, the next 100 meters. You are reaching a junction maybe in another 20 kilometers away. I have to follow the road practically based on it because there's no car in front of me. I need some guidance. It was actually lucky that I switched on and the GPS system is working. And the GPS system allows me to access anytime and anywhere. And the GPS system is actually giving me big and reliable data, at least from end to end, from the destination, from the where that I'm departing and the journey that I'm taking towards the destination. It gives me some guidance and even navigate with forecasted information. It can give me, preempt me what's going on in front. And it all has a good visualization and customer experience whereby I can rely and then put on it. I also have to thank everybody on that time is because I have good and reliable connectivity. My 3G data is working, my map are working, the GPS server is working, and everything is working and give me the information. However, when I reach on a certain area whereby suddenly I lost my data connectivity, but GPS system like Google Map and Waze enable me to work on the offline because it has a hybrid mode. The hybrid mode allow me to actually still following the road and see the directions clearly, and I follow and I do. But besides having a good system like this and reliable connectivity, what else do I need at that particular time as a person, as a human, as a people who are operating in, who are experiencing this dynamic pandemic? What I'm doing is actually I have no choice. I have to trust the system. I trust the system because trust is towards to the unknown. I totally don't know whether the road that the navigation will lead me to the right direction or not, but I have to trust it. When I trust, how I build my trust and confidence, I follow the navigation step by step, and it does lead me to the right and without going to the wrong directions. So I start building my confidence and trust. So I have to learn how to read and diagnose the information that present on the screen to me. Because when there are few junctions, I have to understand that should I take this junction or not. So therefore, I have to learn how to read. And once you have that learning, when I make a decision and prediction based on the information as my own experience. So the people that start to monitor and then trust the system, this combinations with the technology that what we can supply, it come into a picture already. So if I put myself into this current COVID-19 situations, I believe that actually there's some industrial 4.0 adoptions can be accelerated without a major technology investment. That's what we have mentioned. We need some kind of information like digital work instruction for operator assistant. We have workers working in the manufacturing lines. We have our own engineers working on the field, but we require to provide them some digital information and enable them to work on-premise and also remotely. That means hybrid solutions will be there. How to achieve the hybrid solutions? Certain KPI parameter required to be presented using the IoT solutions and the cloud. And in order to make sure that the asset is continuous performing, to enable my car is continuous, make sure I have the condition-based monitoring, like digital maintenance, to enable us to tell me whether I still have a fuel or not, enough for me to drive to the destination. Is my car condition is good enough for me to drive through that journey for another half an hour or 45 minutes before I reach the highway? So operation assistance through the argument augmented reality is also important. And there are some basic retrofit and automation for loading and conveyors that to get the data and all those things is come into the picture. So without a further kind of a heavy investment, currently now RMCO, we have customers now relooking into the digital transformation investment again. Now we have to rethink about what our investment look like. So like what AVEVA has mentioned, there are a lot of solutions here. I pick up two, which I think immediately our manufacturer and customer will benefit from it. What is called cloud and AI, which is AVEVA inside in the cloud, AVEVA kind of cloud-based solutions. And there is another is the discrete lean manufacturing, where it's MES solutions for AVEVA too, has been implemented throughout the world. Now, this AVEVA Insight is actually a cloud-based platform to enable us to allow, it's just like a Google Maps server that whereby, just how I mentioned, he actually get all the information, he get aggregations of the data, he do a collaborations and get people work remotely. And he connect all the sensors that are available in the field, whether your smart sensors, IoT devices, or edge devices, you're connecting to it, or existing SCADA system that you have, such as SCADA, that you are able to connect and then push the data. A lot of that people are worried about this is because it says I open up my connectivity. Don't worry, because it is a secure, and then you're only one-way connections that they push. And this AVEVA Insight, we are going to have this highlight about the capability. You have the dashboard, you have the OEE asset performance analysis, you have the condition management notification. We will address this more into a next series, actually following up called Cloud and AI on the next AVEVA series in our webinar series. But here I just give you a teaser of it. For those customers who are looking forward to have this AVEVA Insights capability, how to make sure you can able to connect immediately your information and you have a real-time dashboard and you can work remotely, contact us. Now, advanced AVEVA discrete lean manufacturing management. A lot of operations, the SME actually is manual, and you couldn't turn it immediately, just use sensors. Hence, this digital discrete lean management itself is a solution to digitize the manual operations and make it become information are collected into the system and allow us to do a lot of other solutions as well. It has 4 modules like end-on performance, work instructions, work order management. It's actually providing the end-to-end solutions for your manufacturing processes, digitize them manually, and also capture data automatically from the sensors, combine it together, make it become your on-premise information. At the same time, these informations are able to push to AVEVA inside the cloud so that we can have a hybrid solutions on-premise and the cloud solution and enable our operation and continuations of the sustainability of the business under the another, if we have another MCO again. So therefore, these are the solutions that whereby we are providing, and there are much more to come, so you can actually contact us for further information. In summary, COVID-19 has put everyone on the same risk track. In regardless whether you are new to the business, you already years in the business, or you maybe have been prepared yourself starting the digital transformation journey, or you are maybe a beginner. There's no exceptions, everybody at the same racetrack. whether which position you are in, if you have already get a good fundamental, maybe you are at the starting of a few position of the pole. But if you are actually starting up the business, maybe you're not ready under this pandemic, you might be actually at the far left behind. But the question is, how can we learn right now and make sure ourselves, even though, because everybody under the same circumstances and situations right now, how can we accelerate ourselves in order to make sure that we overtake and we are actually can go through and we know how to handle the car well, the race car well, and gone through every obstacle and corners that we wanted to face and we are facing. So what to actually happening is, are you in the leading positions? We believe that digital transformations using Industrial 4.0 technologies will be allow us to at least starting to move forward and faster than other people, to be ready to take the leads when there's coming to any kind of circumstances. We embrace, we look into the new normal, what's required, we towards to the leading positions. So in summary, creating the business value with digital, we reimagine our customer journey, we redesign our operational processes, and we challenging with the business model that we come together. And that's how we make it, we feel that we can start right now, and we have to start right now, and we have to embark and accelerate what we can do, revisit the digital transformation strategy that what we could have, and we make sure that we will be at the leading positions. Thank you. So that is my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chai. Thank you very much for this key insight. So I think one key takeaway is, of course, in this race, right, we are all in this race car, right? Not everyone is on the same starting line, and everyone has their own car and own specification, right? So I think the most important thing is to look at your own readiness in implementing the foundational technologies of Industry 4, as mentioned by Mr. Chai. So mainly connectivity, human-machine interaction, advanced engineering, and data analytics. Okay, so if you find what Mr. Chai has mentioned interesting, you can please contact CTI on the details on those solutions, and also explore how everything can fit in your own organization. But just remember that everyone is in various stages, and everyone is starting in a different playing field, right? So it's more important to how do you start your transformation journey depending on your own readiness and your own industry. Okay, so we have come to the end of the presentation for three of the speakers. Thank you for the speakers for the wonderful insight. We have a quick, sorry, a bit late now. We'll be a quick 10 minutes Q&A session. So I think everyone, I will just turn back on the panelists. Invite Mr. Ajit and Mr. Jacob back. We have a few questions here. I would like to start. I would like to start straight for a question to Mr. Ajit for AVEVA. There's one quite interesting question which I think everyone would like to know. The question is for Mr. Ajit. In this present pandemic outbreak, right, and also the new normal, what is your immediate recommendation and how to kickstart this Industry 4.0 journey for Smart Factory?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. So the first thing you got to do in this digital transformation journey is to figure out what is the data that's most important to you, because there's a variety of data that you get from your production operations. If you can classify the data and figure out how you can get access to this data and use intelligence on top of this data, I think we are good to go.
Okay, is there any comments from Mr. Chai or Mr. Jacob?
Yeah, I totally agree with what Mr. Ajit say. I think digital the data are most important for this round, especially when you need to do business recalibration. Without all this data, it wouldn't be able to help you to set your direction.
Yeah, I mean, I can go into detail, about what kind of production data, what kind of operational data, but then it varies from producer to producer, from manufacturer to manufacturer. So the data that is important to a food producer versus the data that is important for a garment or a glove producer is very different. Yeah. So you got to think about what's important and how you're going to make use of this data in order to drive your digital transformation journey.
And AVEVA, I mean, of course, you will provide the services to help. I mean, those training programs by AVEVA to help promote towards digital transformation. I mean, because lots of, I
Absolutely.
mean, yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Anything from Mr. Chai? Any comments?
No, support the conversation, the answers.
Okay, good. Okay, so we will answer. Second question, I think since we talk about, I think Mr. Chai talked about the solutions of Industry 4. You can see there's so many silos, right? And there's so many solutions out there. People are asking the next question. I would direct to Mr. Jacob for FMM and so Mr. Chai. The question is, what are FMM plans to help all manufacturers sustain their business after COVID-19? And also, what you mentioned that MITI and FMM have grant, right? And also have a roadmap to help the customers. So you talk about Industry 4 forward assessment. Is there any statistics on this type of success rate to apply for grants? You say 70-30%, right? Is there what are the success rate? Because traditionally people think that when you apply for grant to do this type of project, it will take time. So what is FMM and MITI doing, to help expedite this?
Well, as I mentioned just now, the Industry 4.0 Readiness Assessment Program, I think is very important. I think we were emphasizing on the hand-holding program, helping the industry to assess their readiness, to see which stage are they in. Are they in Industry 2 or Industry 3 and things like that. I think in Malaysia, most of industry are in between 2 and 3. So we are not even 3, many of them. Okay, so so MITI has paid, for the consultants, people like from Sirim or from Press and other consultants going to the manufacturers to assess their readiness. Number one. Number two, they will give intervention recommendation. Okay, and with this technology intervention recommendation, they're able to get a grant from MITI on 70-30, sort of arrangement.
Up to how much?
Maximum to 500,000 ringgit, $500,000 of Malaysian ringgit. So I think that is a good start. And we actually encourage our members, Industry 4.0, the 9 or 11 pillars, or even some people say 12 pillars, are not for you all to embrace it all, at one go. You start small and you start with the areas where you think that it will be most beneficial to you and most needed. Okay, so we're encouraging people to do like ERP, to actually first, the journey is a very long journey. It's not easy. Okay, to automate your production is also not easy. So it's going to be a long journey. I think the Malaysian government has taken very positive steps to do that. I think last year, I think about close to 300 companies have been approved. So this year,
Okay.
I think they continue with another 500 companies. So I think they are allocating 2 billion ringgit for this exercise. I mean, the exact figure I need to verify. So the government is doing this very aggressively. We don't want to be left behind from our neighboring countries as well. As you know, there are about 7 million of diaspora workers in Malaysia. So that is a serious problem. With this COVID-19, so you look at Singapore. Wow, Singapore every day, almost 1,000 people got contacted with COVID-19, and most of these people are from the diaspora communities. So Malaysia is also very jittery, over this thing. So we're trying to reduce the diaspora workers in Malaysia. So automation, Industry 4.0, I think are a way that can achieve to that thing. So so besides, as I say, FMM Institute is doing a lot of skill training programs. Okay, So we're also working together with CTI very closely to set up a lab or this what they call Industry 4.0 Excellence Center, so as to create a small playground for the people to try out the system. Yeah.
Okay, that's very interesting. Any comment from Mr. Chan? Yeah, since Jacob is saying that, I mean, are those solutions that you mentioned, I mean, if the manufacturers or customers they are looking to implement those solutions, are they able to apply for this grant as well?
Oh yeah, definitely. To echo what Mr. Jacob had mentioned, that under the Industrial Forward, the regional assessment, we also receive customers' feedback and says that have been assessed, and now they are also working on proposed solutions on how to do it. A few reports that we have also been glanced through, and we see that it's quite good because that it addresses the issues whereby the customer and the manufacturers has the encounter. So therefore, those kind of proposal from the assessor itself were giving some guideline and leading to the customer, to the manufacturers, what we should do. And looking around, it's actually like a lot of field, like what we mentioned, SME, data are not connected. So data connectivity become one of the primarily there things that they required. And the network infrastructures and all those are also required to build in. So that's why in order to get it fast, the solutions of what we have mentioned and getting from AVEVA itself will help actually the customer to see the data immediately. So because you don't have the data, you don't how to estimate. It's just like you don't trust whether you can move forward or not. It's just like just on my GPS system. So when you start seeing the data already, you start learning the process and then trusting the data that you're having, improving from time to time. That's where we go. We just need to advise this. All this regional assessment of the government is giving us to start our digital transformation journey. Don't take it as one lump sum can do everything, and then you can estimate, you can expect a wonderful system and good system after this 100,000 grant. I don't think so. It's just only a starting on what we should happen, and make sure that we prepare ourselves. Yeah, that's what I wanted to add on.
Okay. Thanks for the insight. Okay, so since we already way past our time, I think we will end the Q&A here. Just before we end this, I would like to thank all the panelists as well, and of course all the presentations and the great insights. I think for more information, of course, you can please contact the organizers, CTI Resources. Our team will get in touch with you. And we just like to, before I stop, right, I just like to have a quick poll for everyone. You can see the next slide. We'll have a quick poll for everyone. Just click, if you don't mind, just click on the screen so that we can see. First question. There's 3 questions, so I think you can just click on the screen. Where is the organization on the manufacturing operations transformation journey? Just select one so that we can gauge, you know, what are the readiness of the industry. Yeah. Okay, next one. The second one. Oh, people are still clicking. Okay. I don't think you can see the answer. Can you see? I think you're able to see the answers, right? On the right hand side. They are able to see the answers. Okay, second one. What area of manufacturing operations transformation are you likely to explore for the next 12 months? Safety and quality, sustainability and utilities, operational and asset efficiency, and workforce productivity. I think you can see the answers, right? You can see the answers. Well, you can't see the answers. I think, okay, we will share that once we have. Okay, yeah, next one. Are we ready for the next one, or we wait for a few seconds? Okay, last one. Please thank me for manufacturing operations transformation assessment. Yeah, so I think this one, is related to what we mentioned as well. I mean, every company has their own digital transformation readiness and journeys. If you would like to know where are you, and of course, if you need to know more information on what Mr. Jacob had mentioned, industry forward assessment, right? So I think this will help as well. If yeah, please click on the poll. Oops. Okay, so once everyone has voted, okay, so this is the last. I just want to have a quick closing note. So on behalf of AVEVA and CTI Resources, I really want to thank our panelists or speakers today, Mr. Ajit from AVEVA, and also Mr. Jacob from FM, and Mr. Chai from CTI Resources. Thank you for attending the first series of our webinar today. I hope today's session has given everyone an insight on how your organization should embrace the new normal with digital transformation and smart manufacturing in order to go through these extraordinary times. We hope to see you on our second webinar series on September 22nd, entitled, as you can see here, Empower Your Digital Transformation with Discrete Manufacturing Hybrid Systems. So the purpose of this session is to demonstrate how discrete manufacturers can embark on digital transformation gradually. As we know, not every single process in the discrete manufacturing can be automated. So we'll show you how to do it step by step. And if you need a hybrid of manual and digital solutions, we are able to show you that. So hopefully you can spread this to your friends and also your colleagues and get more people to join the next session. Okay, so our organizing team will share more information after this and also the registration details. So thank you everyone again. Thanks for your time and stay safe everyone. Thank you very much. Thank you all speakers.
Thank you. Thanks, Jacob and Ajit. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.